Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review, a Belizean bad boy, two-button Tommy, Connor Brennan's, older cousin Dave over here. I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm on vacation. I say that in parentheses because I'm still making content for you guys, just a little bit. Shooting this on a Thursday night. You guys are getting it on a Friday. Happy Friday. I hope everyone has a good weekend. I'll say that in advance. Do me a favor. There's my Instagram right there if you want to check out what's going down in Belize. I'm recording this early because we got a small little puddle jumper, a little 10-seater flight we're taking tomorrow to a new island we'll be staying at for the next couple days, and then I'll be returning home to the main studio. In the meantime, thank you guys for entertaining me and sticking around for the journey. I appreciate all of you guys. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and some of you guys left a voicemail. So let's cover this video. Actually, I'll go to the next slide here. Mike P. Oh, wrong one here. Mike P. There it is. The Bachelor. The Bachelor posted this graphic of the interview Mike Planeta did, where he admits he slipped up and had oral sex. I'm saying that in quotes, slipped up. And he talks about how like he's a lousy guy, but through God, he's actually like able to have a buffer. He says a lot of things that like the talking points make sense, but we talk about purity culture, right? We talk about how when it comes to like waiting for marriage, are you doing it for what are deemed right reasons, or because of some weird impression that people put on you from a young age? We talk about the purity balls. We talk about the 15-year-old, the daddy-daughter dances that they do, these purity balls where the young women, young girls really, sign pledges that they won't have sex till marriage. And I think women get it worse than men, to be honest. I really do, because they're kind of seen as like, well, it's your job whether you give it away or not, and all this kind of like really toxic stuff that other countries look at us and go, what's going on over there? And I say this. The United States is one of the most, if not the most conservative first world countries out there. Now I'm talking about traditional values. I mean, in a lot of ways, our country is just like, what do we care what people do with their bodies? What do we care if Mike is waiting till marriage? And I say, I don't care at all. But he used the term slipped up, like, oh man, I did such a bad thing because I got blown in Cabo, or whatever the case might be. I got blown after a baseball game. I had the game-winning home run. Some chick took me behind the bleachers, whatever. Or some guy, I don't know, whatever, I don't know. I don't know what the story is. But the point is like we hold people to these like insane standards, and it's like, and they had posted something very funny where they were like, maybe he doesn't have some insane sex drive. Maybe he's just like withholding all of his normal urges, and it's just like some like insane weird litmus test or some bar to meet to be like, I've held my virginity till my 30s. And it's like, I understand waiting for someone you love and this and that, but again, let's play some voicemails that responded to all of this. I asked for voicemails earlier today after this video, so here we go. Let's play the voicemails. First one coming to us, and I think it's a good one. Let's have a listen.
Hey Dave, it's Sarai. So I've been thinking about the whole thing with the purity thing. Well, I waited till I was 23 to have sex, and it was not because I wanted to wait till I was married. I just wanted to wait till I found the right guy or the right opportunity. It just didn't feel right unless it was with someone I knew I could trust and everything. And so my ex, when we were dating, we were both virgins, and he wanted to be completely virgin, like no oral sex, no nothing. So, like no giving, no receiving, and no actual intercourse. He wasn't considered a virgin unless none of that happened. And so he thought it was very important that I should be one as well. So I'd say about a year or so after we broke up, no, 2 years. It was 2 years after we broke up. And I can imagine anyone else that I could trust, but I still was a virgin, and he would ask. And so then I told him, he's like, okay, well, good. I'm thinking, okay, oh, good. All right, I'm glad I got his permission. But I didn't feel shame afterwards. I felt like it was the right time and everything. But to him, it was very important not to have oral sex, both receiving and giving. And if I had one of those, I was no longer considered a virgin in his standards. So I thought that was very interesting. We no longer talk, but I just, I've been with, I think, six or seven guys since I was 23, so that's not so bad. But yeah, so that's just what I thought about it with my history. All right, have a great rest of your vacation, and talk to you when you get back. All right, bye.
Thank you so much for that voicemail. And I love that you said, I've had 6 or 7 guys, so that's not so bad, as if 9 or 10 would be bad. And I understand the framing, and I understand you're not taking this, I'm not taking what you're saying literally, but there is that thought that at a certain level, it is bad. Oh, at a certain level, it's toxic or abusive or this or that. And you know what I mean? There's plenty of ways we abuse ourselves. I just had a Diet Coke and M&Ms. There's plenty of harmful things we put into our body, and sex doesn't have to always be harmful or this terrible thing. And again, it's less about what you choose to do with your body and more about wondering, is this really your voice? Like Mike says, luckily I found the Lord, and he's been like this protector and this shield over me. And I go like, it's just a cop out to me. It's a cop out because you don't, I'm not saying I'm anti-religion or atheist or anything, nothing at all. I'm very spiritual, and I believe in a higher being that ties us all together. I just don't think that higher being gives two shenanigans about whether or not we bump Harrisons before we sign a contract with the one we love. Love is a thing that can come and go in different ways. I mentioned in the last video that I'm not going to shame someone if they have a one-night stand and both parties are consenting and they have the time of their lives and they go their separate ways. Maybe time doesn't work in a linear way is my point. And maybe two consenting adults don't love each other at all, but in that moment of orgasm where they get together and they have a fun time, it is fun. And don't get me wrong, there's horrible sexual experiences too where you're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? This or that, it was wrong. And anyway, so I will read a couple of your comments that are saying like why you decided to wait. I'll get into that after, because we can all agree to disagree, or we can agree that it's more nuanced and there's different scenarios for everybody. But the point with purity culture isn't that it's bad to wait. It's the terms like, I slipped up against this unbearable thing where I decided I wasn't going to do it. And Katie Thurston's very sweet. She's said, oh, Mike, he's not it changed her view of a guy who's waiting for marriage. And maybe that's the case. But at the same time, you can take a guy who looks normal, talks normal, he's just a normal, successful, good-looking adult, very skilled, and at the same time be like, oh my gosh, I am starting to see some flaws in your logic with how you sort of digest a lot of the teachings of the Bible. You know what I mean? All right, let's play our next voicemail.
Hi, Dave. My name is Jalen. I'm calling from Philadelphia. I just wanted to share my thoughts. A quick background. I do come from that purity culture scene. I was very fundamentalist Christian, so I originally was saving myself for marriage, just like Mike T. So I know the guilt and shame that comes with those quote-unquote slip-ups and the terminology used to describe that. The problem I now see from it, now, knowing sex is normal, part of life, is the black and white thinking and the shame that it can produce, mostly because the black and white thinking comes from, I guess, almost this extreme version of making something sacred, which can be a beautiful thing, but with something like sex, every bond can be seen as so sacred that there's terms used such as getting attached to someone or losing a piece of yourself, and I just don't think that's necessarily a healthy way to view human connection, which is a shared experience in many other ways besides sex, like you pointed out. So I think that's where the harm can come in, ultimately.
That's a great voicemail. Thank you so much, Jalen from Philadelphia, having experience as a fundamentalist Christian. And this is what I love about this channel. It's so much bigger than me or you, and the fact that people can call in with different points of views as to why they think the way they do and why they got to where they got. I messaged. I can't remember the name of their Instagram page. So I quoted them on last video about what they said with regards to how silly the Puritan culture is, and they're going to come on next week when I'm back in town, or maybe the week after, and we'll talk more about purity culture and how it relates to Bachelor Nation. I really do want to find that. I'll post them in the description if I can remember. But let's go to some of the comments that I got, and I appreciate you guys sort of joining me here for this ride. Let's go to Clara here. And again, I respect all of you for different ways of thinking, and I'm so glad you guys respect mine, because I don't come from a place where I've got some dark history with religion. Catholicism's kind of wacky, right, in its own way. But I was talking to my fiance about this, and she was like, yeah, but you guys don't even really, like, you say only have sex when you're married, but you don't really, like, hold each other to that. And we're like, no, not at all. Like, come on. No, we confess our sins and we get over it. But I never really grew up with this purity culture of, like, holding myself for marriage and this and that. I mean, I got my own imprints of weird kind of guilt and all this, but it wasn't that. But we know that people will get these purity rings and necklaces and things. I'm saving myself. I'm gonna give my flower to someone, whatever the case may be. And you go, look, I just don't think that's a healthy way to frame it. You get sex, and I know it's like that's like this last caller said, it's a shared experience. It shouldn't be like you're losing a part of yourself, because what happens is people will hold their identity around their virginity, so that when they lose their virginity, which is a flawed term in itself, losing it, when they lose their virginity, they lose this who they were, and then what are they, and then what are you, and that's not a healthy way of kind of looking into it. And again, Tasha had mentioned to me a couple that they decided to wait till marriage, and then marriage came and they just still felt all this guilt around sex, and it's like, that's just not love. Love comes in different forms, right? Love between friends, love between your family, and of course, intimacy with someone you love or don't love. Intimacy with a partner, whether it be casual or a consensual, like one night stand or whatever the case may be. Like that everyone has their own road, their own experience. So again, I'm not here to shame Mike Planeta for his. I'm just saying it seems like it just comes with so much weight put down on you, because I just don't see the logic there. And again, I'm not alone. There's plenty of people that come from purity culture that goes, man, what the hell was I thinking? Who the hell gives two flying Harrisons what people think about me and what I do with my body? But anyway, with all that said, I do respect your different opinions. As a Christian, I thought it'd be fun to share my logic for waiting till marriage. Personally, it is because I find sex a vulnerable, powerful, most intimate thing a man and woman can do together, becoming one. It is very beautiful. It is very beautiful and a gift, truly. However, I do not want to give myself to multiple men and be attached to each of them. If a man proposes and commits to me, it will be so worth the wait. It's also an act of worship and worshiping my body in the Lord. Hope that helps. I respect your comment. It doesn't get me any closer or farther away from my opinion, but if you're putting it on a pedestal of sorts, and if that's what it means to you, by all means. And I respect the people that are going to agree with you, and I respect the fact that you're commenting that on a video that's pretty much not understanding the waiting till marriage thing. When I was younger, I wanted to wait until marriage. I'm not religious, just had a similar mindset as you. When I turned 23, I kind of got over it, so I decided to go on Tinder and find someone to lose my virginity to. I found someone and they were a virgin too. He was sweet and always respected to think about me before himself. We ended up dating for a few months. About 6 months later, I met my now boyfriend, who I hope to marry, and sex is totally different with him because I truly love him. I actually enjoy it, and it's because I needed that emotional connection. And now I regret losing my virginity before meeting him. To each their own, of course, because not everyone needs that emotional connection. Yeah, some people, they have sex and they're immediately like that oxytocin, that commitment, that like that means something more to someone else who it might be more transactional. And it's important to try to find somebody who sees it the same way you do. If sex means the world to you and to your partner it's just transactional, you're going to have a problem there. My husband and myself both waited until we were engaged. We dated 2 years and we were engaged 3 months. I'm glad we waited. Too often sex becomes the only thing keeping a bad relationship together. Now, I don't know if sex keeps a bad relationship together. I don't know. I guess that could happen, but I don't know if that's a personal experience where it's like, well, if it was, I don't know. I agree with this and feel the same way. Those that believe in waiting till marriage use boundaries to prevent temptations of slipping up. One's slip-ups might not be a slip-up for everyone because everyone has different convictions, different boundaries for themselves, and different lines they don't want to cross. Perhaps one of Mike's boundaries is not cuddling, laying down because it causes temptations for him. I've heard from some non-religious people that also have a similar belief. They only have sex with people who are willing to commit in a relationship because they find that if the other person doesn't commit to them, they feel betrayed from sharing such a strong emotional connection with someone who betrayed them. It's not just about God and religion sometimes, but also about the emotional and psychological damage that having sex with the wrong person can cause. Well, I would say this, if people are so worried about like doing what's right for God, like, we're made in God's eyes. It's like, well, if you got a boner and if your ovaries got fluttered or whatever ladies do, I had bad sex ed, what's it called? When you get a lot of blood flow to the vulva or whatever the case may, excuse my crudeness here. If your Harrisons are bumping, mentally speaking, wouldn't that be God's way of saying that, two people that are consenting adults should experience this? And now I understand waiting can boost some attraction in certain ways, and in some cases can help a relationship because the guy or the girl feels that if they have if they're waiting and there's sort of like a not given away right at the beginning of a relationship, that it can form a longer bond. But also that's also hogwash in certain situations. It's different for everybody. Hogwash, folks. It's a very personal choice. Okay, I already heard from her. Cassandra says, LSD has been cracking me up. She's referring to Linen Shirt Dave, a.k.a. Connor Brennan's older sunburned cousin. Kate says, sex negative or normal. I love this. Yeah, and of course that's in response to the fact that everyone's saying Katie's sex positive. And it's like, yes, she is sex positive, but the opposite of sex positive is sex negative. Like, we shouldn't be in a world where we're so shocked that somebody's sex positive. I mean, that should be the baseline. I knew it. I was wondering if anyone else caught it. No, that's not it. He needs to connect with Madison Pruitt. Oh, that would be a match made in someone else's heaven, but not mine. You either ride on my... Okay, dude, so with you, says Kelly. And again, I'm not just looking for comments that are with me. We're just reading some comments. I quit going to church. And again, and I'll just say this, every church is different. Some Catholic churches might have been a horrible experience, some Presbyterian, whatever the case might be. Mormon, I have friends that are ex-Mormon, and it's like, that's a whole nother can of worms to unpack, with the way people are treated, sometimes brainwashed. And again, I'm firing on all cylinders, okay? I'm not saying Mormons are any worse off than the Catholics or this or, there's a lot of control that happens when a bunch of old men get together and try to tell you what to do with your bodies. I quit going to church when the youth group leader told my teenage son if he bumped the monkey, my term, not theirs, he was cheating on his future wife. What the Franklin? Mainline churches have crossed the line. So done with that controlling bull. Never been happier getting out of that brainwashing. So a youth group leader told Kelly's teenage son that if he bumped Harrison's, he was cheating on his future wife. That's a heavy thing to tell a teenager. That's a heavy thing. As to Hunter, there's a podcast called Conversations. That's not this conversation we're getting into, but thank you for the comment. Plum's mom says, I'm still not sure why people think it's okay for people to tell other people what they should or should not do with regard to sex, love, marriage, their behaviors. It's one thing to say, hey, you should get blonde highlights. I think it would make your eyes pop. On the other hand, unless I have asked for feedback or advice on real life topics, I'm living my life and you, meaning others, are living yours. And if you are living your life, you should not have enough time to assess everyone else's. Learn from their mistakes or not mistakes and keep doing you. We can all learn from others' experiences, but we don't need to put them down. I don't think that's in reference to my comment, but I will say that my biggest concern is not what a consenting adult does with their body. It's what we're teaching and imprinting on young people. People have very they hurt themselves, and they go into deep depression and plenty of other things when they're like feeling this shame. It's all shame that's put. Oh, you hook up with so and so, you bump their monkey, now you're cheating on your future. That's heavy stuff to tell a 14-year-old. Wouldn't you guys agree? So again, there are good lessons in the Bible. And we all know this from school, that there are bad teachers. There are teachers that just didn't get it, and the same is to be said about teachers, pastors, youth leaders, and people in different communities that use very blatant manipulating tactics to discourage people from doing something that might otherwise be a good learning experience for them. Mo says, adding to Mike calling himself flawed. Man, that breaks my heart, but also rejoices with him. He's humble in saying this because he knows he's not God and was born a sinner. We all are. On the other hand, he knows what he did was wrong for his own value's sake. I believe he is strong enough to be confident and honest with himself. He made a promise to God, and his slip-up is proof of him being human. We all slip up on things daily. This was his slip-up, and just him sharing about it is healthy for him. But because he's on a public platform, there are opinions flying. Good on Mike for being honest with himself. Okay, so, again, I'm no expert here, but by saying he made a promise with God, what is that promise? What is that promise to not receive a blowjob? What is that promise? That's what I question. And again, respectfully so. So Mo says, you are amazing, Dave. Your approach to these topics is authentic and funny when appropriate, of course. It's strange to talk about these issues of these reality shows, but like you touched on in this video, the issues allow us to reflect on our own lives for growth. I am personally coming out of a shame-induced life based on many things, and purity culture is a major part of it. I have so much to say on this topic, and for sure, yes, to you doing the troll show. Come on, Dave, brilliant. Enjoy vacay, keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Mo. I appreciate it. Yeah, so this promise people make to themselves, to me, the logic is flawed if you make that promise before you're like, at an age where you fully know what you're signing up for. So it's like, people have posted, they said, well, we signed up for abstinence, but we were never even taught sex ed, so we didn't even know what we were signing up for. It's like how the credit card companies will prey on like young adults. It's like you're 18, you're a freshman in college, and in order to get a free T-shirt at the basketball game, you got to sign up for a Visa card. And it's like, how dare my university let that fly? There's no way that exists anymore. Maybe it does, but it's like, we want a free T-shirt, we'll just put that, putting other people's social security numbers down, and it's like, how predatory to commit to something that you don't know. You're committing to something before you even start like dumping hormones and becoming who you are. So for someone who might live in fear because they had say you have let's just use an example. You have a 16-year-old girl who has sex with a classmate, and the whole school finds out, and everyone knows the next day, or she comes to school Monday, and everyone knows that this happened, and everyone shames her, and then she kills herself. I mean, it's all shame induced, folks, and this isn't not happening. You know what I mean? Agree wholeheartedly. Wait until marriage if you want, or don't. The shame is so sad, though, and it's creepy how involved fathers are in their daughters' sexualities before they're even adults. Sex negative or normal. Love it. While studying at the University of Ottawa, I decided to take a human sexual behavior course. I got high marks in the course, so I told my relatives that maybe I became a sex therapist, mostly as a joke. They laughed. They also pointed out that I was still a virgin. Today, I'm a menopausal senior citizen with a science degree. I also ended up getting my chef papers because I want to bake everything, including the Colombian food you ate on your anniversary. I appreciate you sharing your views. You have a solid mind. What did you study at university? I studied marketing and business. But I also I've learned a lot from going from a very close-minded small town mentality to living in major cities like New York, LA, Boston, studying abroad, the type of thing where you travel, you move around. I've also I've got family that are heavily I dare I say conversion camp type religious. I have family that believe that dinosaurs were boarded on the Noah's Ark. I got family that's out there. And then I've got progressive family that believes more in spirituality and love, but less in the sort of formality of religion. And I believe that the truth, the more we study and do our research and lead with love, that the truth is that there is a lot of control that has existed in our recent past all the way through the centuries, and control over knowledge, control over bodies, control over decision making is all used in a religion of all forms. As a stand-up comic, as someone who challenges himself to like think critically, I look at these things and I go, nothing about purity culture or calling it out makes God any less real. Nothing about calling out baloney makes God any less real. So it's not whether you're pro or anti either religion or spirituality or whatever you want to call it. Let's see if we can find one more good one. A lot of people want my troll show. If you watched the last video, you know what I'm talking about. Mbop. Cassandra says, Dave, I know it's your job, but please take a few days to just enjoy Belize and forget about work. You deserve a break. Tasha is lucky to have a man who's done so much work about relationships and codependency and really important issues. Your marriage will last a lifetime when both partners keep learning to improve yourselves. That's why we're waiting for marriage, right, Tasha? She laughed. We're close to waiting. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? We've been together for so long. Your marriage will... I just don't understand why these people put themselves through such hell. I think the hell you mean by waiting till marriage. And, you know, it's different for everybody. But, yeah, well, thank you. And listen, I'm making very minimal content. It's I'm making 3 videos in a row on Thursday night. I will release them throughout the day Friday. Maybe I'll make 1 or 2 videos during the weekend if there's any news that breaks. So trust me, I'm not working that hard. Someone else asked when I sleep. Here in Belize, the sun rises at 5:30, so I've been getting up pretty early with the sun, and we go to bed at a pretty early hour because the sun sets early. So let's see if there's any less. Karen says, I waited until marriage at 20. Our relationship from dating to engagement to marriage was 14 months. We decided privately for ourselves and then together for our relationship. It wasn't that difficult because we were busy doing other activities and never stayed overnight together. Yeah, and I mean, you got married at 20. In today's world, people are getting married later and later. So I think there'll be more of a litmus test as to whether or not people wait because their convictions are so strong or you know, whatever the case might be. Kay Parker says, I'm currently 23 and I'm waiting, and I have a boyfriend now and aren't trying to get married anytime soon because we just graduated and are getting into our careers. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, we'll be getting married. My parents were divorced, and so the last thing I want is a marriage that I'm not sure. Oh, good for you. Personally, I've stayed overnight near my boyfriend, but I'd consider myself an extremely disciplined person, and he is so-so, but he respects my boundaries more than anything, so it's fine. So it seems like your boyfriend doesn't want to... it seems like your boyfriend would bump Harrison's. According to you, you said he's so-so. And Kate Parker, I know we've chatted and had you on the YouTube for a long time here. And, you know, what is the discipline, though? And again, respectfully asking, because we're out here talking and you've commented, so I'm sure you're okay with me asking this, but what is the discipline that you're waiting for? What if you and him take your relationship to the next level through Harrison humping? Might be the case. All right. Should we get out of here? Do we do enough of these? Oh, yeah, we're at 28 minutes. Jeez, this went way too long. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and thank you for all of the support. Plenty more comments. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them. I wanted to make a video that, you know, there's so much to say about this type of topic. I'm going to be making a video in the coming weeks about purity culture. I've talked about it extensively with Colton Underwood and all of his issues. Of course, for a little bit of a different type of purity culture, but the idea that we're trying to hold ourselves to a level that may or may not be unattainable, all I'll say is this. Let me cut to my next shot here. All I'll say is this. Tasha's in the background. Wave, Tasha.
Can you see me?
They can only see a tiny bit of you. I just cut back. Yeah, it's all right. They see like a blob texting. Here's what I'll say about this all. Be authentic to who you are. I truly question why you believe the things that you do. And again, I'm not saying this to like deconvert you from your Christianity, not whatsoever. People use religion for many ways, and it's a moral compass. Do good, you know. Like I said, don't covet your neighbor's wife unless she's mowing the lawn and she's wearing shorts. You just covet quickly with your glasses on so she can't see your eyes. I'm kidding, folks. The point is Linen Shirt Dave just coming at you. Linen Shirt Dave, Belizean bad boy. What I'm saying is this. Just with anything in life, question why you believe the things that you do, what's the driving force behind it, and if you can find happiness that doesn't hurt somebody else, there might be a higher level of love that you're not tapping into. And either way, I say that respectfully. The last thing we need is a bunch of old men in cloaks telling us what to do with our bodies. Make that choice for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye now.